Good evening and welcome to Big Future Live. Tonight is for all the parents and caring adults out there. You might be wondering how to support your student as they navigate their path to life after high school. What options are available? How do you learn more about them? And how do you support your kid? I'm sure that these and many other questions come to mind. And guess what? You're in the right place. Welcome to Big Future Live.
Deciding on a career path when you're in high school can feel complicated. Where do you even start? Big Future helps you explore career paths that connect with your passions. Take a short quiz that matches your interests to potential careers. From a video game designer to a registered nurse and everything in between, there are so many careers to explore. You can even create a list of careers that excite you, or watch videos from professionals who work in fields you're interested in. And you'll discover what level of education is recommended, what kind of salary to expect, and what future demand looks like for careers in your field. There are so many options to choose from. So now is the perfect time to get started learning about what's out there. So let us help you explore what interests you, and you can start planning your future your way.
Hi there, my name is Greg Rafal and I use he, him pronouns, and I work here on the Big Future team. I'm going to be your host for this evening, and I'm so excited to welcome you to our first event that's specifically for parents. College isn't the only path. First off, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight and taking time out of your busy days before the holidays. We're glad that you're here to spend some time with us and, of course, to get your questions answered. For those of you who aren't familiar with Big Future Live, let me tell you a little bit more about it. Big Future Live is a series of virtual community events, not webinars, where you can connect with college representatives, career experts, and students' peers to help them plan for life after high school. Big Future Live was really created so that students, parents, caring adults can plan their future their way. So tonight, you're not going to sit through a long, boring presentation. We don't have a bunch of PowerPoint slides that we're going to go through with you. This is really a virtual community powered by students, parents, and of course, all the questions that you have. And as parents, you want your students to have a good career. You want them to have a career that aligns with their interests, their values, their goals. And there are a lot of career options out there, and you and your family deserve to know all the multiple pathways that can lead to a successful future. There are many possible steps to life after high school that can lead your student to that successful future. And a four-year college is just one of them. So parents, tonight we have two experts who are ready to answer your questions about all the multiple pathways to success. Now, as with all Big Future Live events, this goes by really quickly. We only have 45 minutes. So let's meet our guests for today. Awesome. So I'm going to ask both of you to introduce yourselves and tell us three things, really. Your name and pronouns, if you feel comfortable, what you do and where you work, and what's one promising pathway that students can take outside of a four-year degree. And Scott, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Scott Solberg, he, his. I'm a professor at Boston University. I also run a Center for Future Readiness, and as well as Vice President for Research with the Coalition for Career Development Center. And our work is really centered around this topic today. What are the various pathways to social mobility? And not just focusing on the four-year, but also two-year, post-secondary, non-two-year, military. We've got other things, but also even directly from high school. So really excited to be here today. I think I have two pathway ideas. One is the career technology specialist is a really powerful gateway, something that our students can graduate from high school certified to be involved in. It's a great paying occupation, living wages, and it becomes a gateway into computer science and data sciences in general. The other is health sciences, just getting a technician certification right before you graduate from high school. You're going to be able to take that, and your children can then stack it. And as they do, they've got all kinds of opportunities moving into the medical sciences. So just a couple of thoughts on that.
Awesome, Scott. That's great to get us started. And Tamika, what about you?
Good evening. My name is Tamika Parker. I am a high school counselor in Henry County, Georgia. I spend most of my days talking with students and parents like yourself. I would say that one program that I would recommend or promote would be a technical college route. That will be for people who could be interested in perhaps cybersecurity, computer information systems, business, HVAC, things of that nature. And I go by she and her.
Awesome. Thanks, Tamika. Thanks, Scott. So we have Scott, who does a lot of research in this area, builds resources for educators, schools, communities. And we have Tamika, who actually interfaces with students and parents on a daily basis about this topic. So I think we have a really balanced panel here, and it's going to be a really robust conversation. So thank you both for being here. Can't wait to hear all of the advice and responses that you have to share. Now, Big Future Live, we're all about getting your questions answered. But before we do that, I'd like to know a little bit more about who is in our audience today. So tell us, what grade is your student in? So you're going to see a quick poll pop up on your screen. Let us know, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, maybe even middle school. Would love to see who is in our audience. While you're answering that quick poll, let's talk about how tonight is going to work. On your screen, there is an Ask a Question box on the bottom of your screen, right about here. And that's where you can type in your questions. Now, we're all about answering your questions here. So we actually have a team of 3 people on the back end who are monitoring all the questions that are coming in. And we're going to get to as many of those questions as possible. Also, if you miss anything during tonight's event, you have to walk away from your computer or tablet or phone for a moment. No worries at all. The recording is going to be available later on demand at bigfuture.org/live. So we're starting to see some responses coming in. And let's see. All right. It looks like actually pretty balanced. I would say about, it's changing a little bit. All right. 70% of you are either have students in the 11th or 12th grade. Another about 18% of you have students in the 10th grade. And then I see a small sprinkling of parents of 9th graders and even a few parents of middle schoolers too. So glad that we have the middle school parents here who are really thinking about this early, which I think is recommended. So happy that you're here, and no matter what grade your student is in, just know that you are definitely in the right place. So with that, let's dive into some questions. Are you ready, Tamika and Scott? Awesome.
Yes.
Ready.
Let's go for it. All right. Our first question is going to be for you, Tamika. And Aria wants to know, what is the path from associate's degree to undergraduate degree? Can you talk about how that works?
Okay, so typically students would earn an associate's degree from a tech school or 2-year college. And then after that, if they are still interested in earning a 4-year degree, then they will apply to that 4-year university. And the program in which they earn their associate degree, they will get their transcript sent to the 4-year university so that they would see what they've taken and see what credits would transfer over to the 4-year school. And then upon acceptance, depending on how many credits the new school, the 4-year school takes, some students can start as a junior. Some may not start as a junior as an undergrad, as in a undergraduate program. All credits may not be taken, but some still should transfer over. And then they can go on and take the classes for their intended major at the undergraduate program.
That's great. Thanks for explaining that, Tamika. And great question, Aria. We hope that it's helpful. And keep the questions coming in, folks. All right, our next question is from BT. And this one's going to be for you, Scott. BT wants to know, how regional are some of the newer non-4-year options? For example, are there clusters of non-4-year options based on different corporations, businesses, or institutions? What do you say, Scott?
So it's a really interesting question. So when we use college, I don't think of college as 4-year. So I think of it as post-secondary, so the 2-year, 4-year piece. But let me take the 2-year. I think that's what you're looking at in that question. Each of our regions in the United States does have specific opportunities in terms of labor market. So it is important to know what are those kind of labor market opportunities that are going on. Here in Massachusetts, there's 11 regions, and each region has identified 2 or 3 different cluster areas that are most strategic for those different areas, and they vary. You have some rural areas, you have tourism areas, you've got high-tech areas. So it is helpful to kind of know a little bit about that. The 2-year colleges tend to be most responsive to those labor market opportunities. And they're more nimble in terms of program design. They have deep relationships with business and industry. So when your child shows up on their particular campus, they're already connected to a huge social capital that college brings to them by showing them and connecting them with internships and work-based learning and other kinds of role models as they go along. So that's the one area. There are some interesting areas. So if you're like in San Antonio, Toyota has a wonderful support program for internships that starts early and then continues from like job shadowing into some summer and then more formalized internships to the point that they're ready to hire them after they've graduated from high school. And within their process, they have other certifications and opportunities that they can do. But for us, that's like the royal model that we want every business to start doing. But Toyota's out in front doing it, and they're doing it so they can diversify their workforce. And they're also doing it so that when the student finally gets hired, they've actually hired them 3 times. And by that point, they know the culture, they know what's going on. And so the time for them to get up to full productivity within the company is much less because the student knows, or your child knows them, they know each other, and it moves quite quickly. So the 2-year colleges and technical colleges, as Tamika pointed out, that there are 2 different, they're slightly different, but very similar in some ways. They're amazing. And it's a matter of getting to them and talking to them. And they'll give you all the information you need about those different opportunities in terms of where they see the newest. But at the end of the day, it's also important that it matches with your child's goals. And so it's not so much what's in that region, but what's the talent my child has and what are the goals they become interested in? And then we have the conversation with the programs to see whether or not they're available for them to move forward. But also knowing that our students don't know the range of opportunities in those 2-year colleges. It's like a supermarket they've never entered. It's like a Target that they've never gone into, right? And every aisle has all these opportunities. And until you enter that 2-year college space by visiting, going to talk to people, you're not going to know just the amazing range of opportunities that are, many of which are leading right into those living wages that we want our children to have at the end of the day.
That's great, Scott. And just to add to that, if you're looking for, a place to find some of these programs, through Big Future's College Search, we have almost 800 career and technical education college profiles, or other institutions that offer certificate programs or 2-year schools. So you can search for those on Big Future and even filter by educational option to focus on the type of degree or type of program that's going to meet your students' needs. As Scott and Tamika said, we know that students are enrolling in things other than a 4-year degree after high school, and every student has a unique path. So that's just one more tool to help them find their path. All right, our next question is going to actually be for you again, Scott. This is from Galen, and they had a question specifically about medical certificates. So I think you mentioned medical certificates in your intro. Can you just elaborate that on a little bit more? And does it have to be before high school graduation that they?
Yeah. Thank you, Galen, for this opportunity to go deeper. So a little more context on that, especially for our children who aren't sure what they want to do. The early college opportunities, which can involve directly these kind of career and technical education opportunities, is really great for them, because it's not just about getting a certificate. It's not just about the job. It's about building their identity, the idea that they belong here in the world of work, that they have the capacity to do this, they have the talent, which they don't realize, and that there's many places they can look. And so I am a huge fan of this early college process, and it's one that actually is complementary to the high school, because a lot of the courses they're taking can count towards their high school degree as well. But we want to be helping them think through this kind of connected learning so that they're getting what's happening in the classroom and then opportunities to look at the world of work. So just to give you a quick example, and then I want to get back to the certifications and give you more direct ideas. But we had a young woman who in the 10th grade decided, before she entered the 10th grade, to go to the college to get a dietitian certification. And what that did was it allowed her to go into a hospital and see everything that was there, right? Because she's now in the environment. She realized how exciting it was, and she came back. Now, this was student of color, first generation college, would be a first generation student going to college, had no idea what they wanted to do before that, wasn't doing well in school, didn't have the grades, didn't have the courses, came back in her junior year and took every math and science course she could take, ended up with a full scholarship into nursing because she just kept developing into this health science kind of pathway. So if we think about it as helping to build their capacity to aspire into these future opportunities, we got to get them real touches. They can't just read about it. They can't see it. We've got to get them connecting to some of these systems early on. So that's one of the reasons why I like the early college piece. The medical sciences, you can, and I'm sure I have to learn more about what you have in the big future, but there are pathways that can help us begin to see the initial certifications that can happen within the medical areas, and then they can stack up. And so my nephew is a great example of got a very entry-level certification, kept learning. Once he got a second one, he got a new job, got a third one, got a new job, then got the 2-year degree, got a better job, then got the 4-year degree, got a bigger job, and now has his master's degree in business and comes to me saying, okay, what can I do next? So there's that, he didn't think he could do this, right? As he's gaining success, he's having higher aspirations for what he can do down the road. And that's what we're talking about. You know, these kids are going to live to 100. My wife's saying she's going to live to 130. I don't know. We'll figure all those things out. We're not making a decision at 14. What we're doing is we're building a successful identity, a capacity that I can be successful, however that happens, right? However that happens. And so if they're not sure that they're ready for that 4-year piece, I'm sure that's not a good starting point. But there's lots of other starting points to help them really feel that success. And as a result, watching them emerge as adults is going to be very, very exciting.
That's great, Scott. And that's a great way to kind of frame the conversation as we're thinking about multiple pathways. It's really all about that connected learning and as you said, building the capacity to aspire to even better things. So awesome. Thanks for that. Our next question is going to be for you, Tamika, and this is from Lyle. And Lyle says, for the child who doesn't want to go to college and isn't expressing a strong interest in a particular field of work, what is your best recommendation to help a child recognize their interests and to start making a plan for the future? So, Tamika, you work with students every day. What would you, if that child was in your office and you're counseling them, what would you say to them?
Well, usually I make them bring their laptop and then we log on to College Board. So Big Future does have career quizzes and things of that nature. So I typically have them do something on College with Big Future, taking a career quiz or looking at the career directory or career search so that we can just start having discussions about like what they're, they like something. It's just probably not, it's something that we know of at this point. So there are lots of videos there for students to view and learn about particular growing careers. Something that we also do at our school is that when we have students like that, we do encourage their parents to take them to some of the, and we do as well, the school does, encourage their parents to take the students to visit a technical school or a trade school just to see what's happening during that day. When you see students doing hands-on things with automotive or what have you, sometimes once the student gets there and then they realize, oh, I didn't know that this, is available to me. Sometimes that sparks an interest as well. And I know Scott and I were talking earlier about this. Scott, do you mind sharing a little bit about O-Net?
Yeah, sure. Let me get to O-Net first, and then I also want to bring in another idea as well, if that's okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so the ONET is our federal government's open access system. All of the other systems out there that you'll have access to, the other companies that have online career systems, usually draw from the ONET suite of things. It's a little less sexy. It doesn't have a portfolio, but boy, does it have a lot of information. And it does have, under your advanced area, it has where your student can take the skills they have, right? What are the skills they have? And let's just talk about their interpersonal skills, right? Can they communicate with people? What is it that they're able to do in all of these different, what we call durable human skills? Could be some technical skills they have if they like gaming. There's some great skills involved in that. And what they do is they just plug in a little bit, say, here's the skills I have. They press a button and ONET will show them like 500 careers that align with them. Now, the early reason they're doing that is to show them their talent belongs in the world, right? It's not about showing them that, oh, here's your answer. It's about letting them know that they have a future. There's something out here. My second avenue is I really like our UN Sustainable Development Goals. The engineering has these big grand challenges. And I want our youth today to think about the problems going on in our society, on our planet, in their community. And I want them to think about what kind of impact they want to have. What do they want to have? What do they want to change? And then from there, we can begin taking that passion, taking a look at their skills and talent, and start to examine all the different ways in which they can position themselves around that. So they establish sort of a purpose and a sense of hope for what they want to change. And out of that, they start to craft a sense of who they want to be and what they want to do. So our youth of today, they see what's going on. They know there's challenges. So let's figure out what do you want to do about that? What are some of the ways? So Tamika, did I get that? I know we did talk about was that the pieces we got to? Okay, great.
Yes.
Awesome. And Scott and Tamika, you mentioned ONET as a resource for students. I'll mention another one, and that's Big Future. So for those students who don't know what to do and they don't know where to start and they want to start exploring careers, but they don't know how, they can actually go to Big Future and take a career quiz. And that quiz takes less than 10 minutes to complete and asks you questions about your interests and what you like to do. After you take that quiz, or after your student takes that quiz, you can take it too, by the way. After that student takes that quiz, they'll get a list of 30 potential career profiles that they can explore. They'll see things in there like income, projected job growth, most common education levels, be it a four-year degree or a certificate program. They'll see the task knowledge and skills associated with the career, and they'll also be able to save those careers to their own career list on Big Future so they can actually keep track of their progress. And all that information that I just mentioned, that's all actually pulled from ONET labor data as well. So it's all kind of in one place for you right there. For our 11th and 12th graders out there, if you save 3 or more of those careers to a career list, you'll be automatically entered into drawings for $500 and $40,000 Big Future scholarships. So all your student needs to do is save 3 of those careers, explore what they want to do, and they can qualify for scholarships as well. 10th graders or parents of 10th graders, they can do this as well, and they'll be able to qualify for scholarships starting on December 4th. So to get started with that, or to get your students started with that, it can go to bigfuture.org/career quiz, or you should see a QR code pop up on your screen. You can just scan that QR code and that'll take you to the career quiz as well. Before we go any further, as we're talking about career exploration, I'm sure there are some parents out there whose students might have gotten their PSAT scores today. If we were in a live room, I would tell you all to raise your hand, but I'll just imagine you're raising your hands that you got your PSAT scores today. Did you know that on those score reports for the digital PSAT, we're now including what we call Career Insights. And Career Insights is a new feature that really sparks students' career exploration, which is part of this whole conversation we're having tonight. So test takers will receive information on 6 in-demand careers in their state. And that information will include salary, job growth, and educational pathways, again, to get them thinking about what their next steps might be post-graduation. And then after students review those scores, they'll be able to go into Big Future and continue exploring and see actually personalized career exploration based on their skills and interest. They'll actually be able to see how their math, reading, and writing skills based on that PSAT score align with typical demands of a given career. And I'm just going to share my screen really quickly to show you what exactly that looks like. Great. So I'm in career search right now in the accountants and auditors career profile. And with Career Insights, again, your students can see how their academic skills, where they are today, and how they map onto career options that they might be interested in, and what they may need to do to prepare for these careers. So if I go down to the Career Insights section, students who have taken the PSAT score will see how their scores align with the math, reading, and writing skills associated with a specific job. So for this student, this is a test student, but they'll be able to see the following descriptors: inline and a strong option, inline and continue exploring, or continue preparing. And then I'll also have a message guiding with what to do next. And if your student hasn't taken the PSAT score yet, they can also just enter in their scores into this tool and be able to see, again, how those scores align with a specific job. And this is for all of the over 1,000 career profiles in Big Future. That's enough for me and my soapbox. We hope that's helpful since so many folks are asking about career exploration. But let's get back to some of our questions here. All right. So I have a question from Suwani. This is going to be for you, Tamika. Suwani wants to know, what would be your best advice for a senior in high school who is undecided on their major? What activities would you steer them to find their right path? What type of schooling or education would you steer them to? And what are some tips for choosing an educational pathway in this case? What do you think, Tamika?
Well, again, what I would, have them do, interest inventories to see what interest they have. If they find out if the student is, wanting to do a four-year university or, a different route. And if they are wanting to do a four-year university, but just aren't sure, then we talk about the options of different schools that have a wide variety of majors. So, just in case, because likely students will change their mind. It's really a lot on students to make a life decision at the age of 17, 18. So as you know, you may have even changed your major, in school. So I would definitely make sure that they're show some kind of interest in a school that has a large number of majors. And if they, through our discussion, if they do start to talk about wanting to do something other than college, then we'll go down that route, and we'll just do, career interest inventories to figure out what their interests are. And that may be in more than one conversation. This will be, over the course of several weeks, months. And then I'll also pull the parents in, because this isn't something that you just talk about with a student. This is a decision that is made with families, because this also includes financial backing as well. So it's something that we would have the family discuss.
That's great, Tamika. It is a family decision in many cases. Appreciate that. Our next question is for you, Scott, and this is from D. D wants to know, do you have any suggestions or recommendations for post-secondary paths for neurodivergent students or high-functioning autistic students?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I have one at home. So, and we're watching as where we're going to go. It's probably going to be, it will be a non-college pathway, but in this case for the college pathway, I think at the one hand, it's first of all knowing, are they engaged in school and able and liking it? So it's something they want to pursue. That's one key piece. The second then is also to figure out what kinds of accommodation supports are working for them. And then we have to be very crafty, assertive, and planful to ensure that we can get those same accommodations within the higher ed space. So I would certainly really encourage you to work with your state's Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. They need to start working with your children when they're in that transition age in high school. So certainly by their sophomore year, they can begin to engage. And what that can help you do is to see if there's accommodations that might be needed for the testing that they're going to take when they have to take the college testing, as well as to give, and it's really to build your capacity as parents to understand, what the options might be. And then it's a matter of finding those organizations and advocacy groups. There are many parent advocacy groups for our students, especially with the neurodivergent students, to look at what they've identified as those colleges that are very active in supporting and creating a context in which our neurodivergent students are going to thrive, right? It is about the context. It's about entering them into a place that understands, values, and creates a sense of belonging and support for our students, right? So we want to be very strategic in that. And there are programs and there are colleges out there that do that. You can also look up a program called Think College. It's out of my colleagues at UMass Boston. And it's a very powerful program, basically saying all of our students with high incidence disabilities or low incidence disabilities, whatever the case, they should all have a chance to move in to that higher education track. And so there's a lot of push on that. And then the last thing I'm going to suggest is if they're not ready, if it's not like, we're not quite clear where that is, there are some programs going on to really help in that 18 to 21 age group, provide them some work-based experience where we design the actual work-based learning to support the kinds of needs and opportunities. As one engineer said, we don't think of our students as having special needs. We talk about as special talents, and they design the kind of workspace to address and really work off of those talents, and it's successful for everyone. So there's just a lot of things going on out there to support our students, but you've got to find those communities, and they're out there, easy to Google and find, so you can start accessing and seeing what kind of resources might be in your local community as well as nationally and throughout your state.
Thanks so much, Scott. And Dee, hopefully that was helpful advice too. Thanks for the question. Our next question is for you, Tamika, and this is going to be from Andrea. Andrea wants to know, how can I help support my student who is pursuing a non-traditional path when all of their friends are headed to a four-year college?
Okay. Well, the first thing I would say is to respect your child's career goal. And I know sometimes as parents, our children's career goals are not aligned with what we want their career goal to be. And we have to understand, although we are still playing a major part in their life, that this is their life. So just ensuring that we respect their career goal and, don't let their hands go in what path they're trying to take. And that means, perhaps making an appointment to seek the school counselor at your child's high school to discuss some possible paths that may interest your son or daughter. Like I said, seeking out others, trade schools or tech schools. I keep saying that. I'm not just promoting that. I know I keep saying that in every conversation here, but just seeking out other opportunities, going on visits, talking to people, talking to businesses, even at your local high school. There may even be a work-based learning coordinator or a business teacher that has connections within the community. Just making sure that you're using all the resources that you have to help your son or daughter.
Thanks so much, Tamika. That's helpful. And we know that many students are enrolling in something other than a four-year college right now. That's normal, and we need to normalize that. Every student's pathway is going to be unique, and there are a lot of pathways to future success. I have a colleague, Andrea, who's going through something similar, and they're students in high school, and they're going to these graduation parties, and the thing that parents keep asking is, what college are you going to after graduation? Or what university are you going to? And maybe one simple tip is just change the language there. Maybe it's not, hey, what college are you going to after graduation? But hey, what are your plans after graduation? Just acknowledging that all of those pathways are going to be unique. So thanks for that question, Andrea. All right, our next question is going to be from Gabriella here. And Scott, this is for you. What would you recommend to a student who has multiple career choices and wants to do different things? So a lot of different options here. How do you take that first step, Scott?
No, I think just say yes. Let them explore. You know, I don't know about you, but when you're working in today's environment, you may have a job. Let's take Tamika, right? She's a school counselor. I bet a school counselor who knows web design and graphic design is going to be a lot more hireable than a school counselor who knows just how to do the school counseling.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
So this is our life right now. Having varied interests, and just allowing ourselves to explore, being writing and exploration and creativity. Get that TikTok, get that Instagram, do all that stuff, right? They know about personal branding. They know about how to sell and how to communicate their identity. These are incredibly transferable skills that are going to be great out there in the world of work. So I'm just saying, go for it. Let it happen. So that's my answer.
I agree. And you don't have to put yourself, you don't have to just have one career. You can have multiple. Most people that I know have several hobbies, so they have their career, they have a side gig, so you don't have to just do one particular thing. Like you said, you can do it all.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you both for that. Our next question is going to be from Francisco. Tamika, this is going to be for you. Is there financial aid available for educational pathways outside of a 4-year degree?
Absolutely. First thing, after you apply, there should be some type of financial aid application for the particular career path that you're trying to take. So you'll just need to make sure that you are working with that school's admissions office in regards to financial aid. But just because you're not going through the traditional 4-year route, there still may be some scholarships that are available to you, even if you're not going to a 4-year school. So definitely talk with your school counselor in regards to what is available in your area. And then also, please make sure you visit Big Future, because they have a number of scholarships available for students as well.
That's right, Tamika. We actually have on Big Future over 23,000 scholarships in our scholarship search tool. And as students use it, if they fill out some information about themselves, they can answer a few questions. They can actually get matched to a list of scholarships that they're eligible for right now and apply for them. So definitely check out Big Future in addition to some of the other resources that are out there. Great question, Francisco. And our next question is going to be for you, Scott. This is from Laura. Laura wants to know, and we've touched on this a little bit already, but feel free to elaborate. What are some of the best resources to help high school students figure out what they should major in, or if they should even go to college?
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I think it's a great question. I would love to know how old your child is right now, because that also changes the options. So starting in high school or even middle school, we want them to get out and try new things. We call it work-based learning, and what that means is touches, learning about the world of work, getting out and seeing what people are doing. It could be job fairs, it could be job shadowing, could be internships. But what they're doing when they go out and try is they're learning, is this something I want to be? Is this something I can do? And so the exploration is so much deeper when they get connected with the world of work and have employers that are encouraging and others that are happening. But it also allows them to really think through where it is I want to be, in this world. I also think, again, let's focus back on what are the problems they want to solve. All these special clubs. I was a 4-H'er, and I will say 4-H is what taught me how to be everything I'm doing. It wasn't in the high school. It was doing community and civic engagement activities. It was learning leadership skills, public speaking. All of those skills that I learned in a club were the transferable skills that I needed to really find my purpose and sense of what I wanted to do. And then again, it depends on your child, right? If they're not so sure academically and they're not sure where they want to go, then you want to be really hesitant about dropping them off at a 4-year expensive university, because that's what they're going to take into it. They're not going to magically find themselves in that moment. They're going to take that same pattern of behavior right in there, and it's a very costly enterprise. And so maybe it is a gap year. Yes.
Sorry, really quickly. Laura just said that her student is in the 12th grade.
Okay. Same thing then. We got to get her out looking at the world of work. You have to decide, Laura, if she's not academically inclined, don't take that as maybe she'll get to college and everything will be fine. Maybe what she needs is some time. And there's a gap year. There's more work-based learning. There's 2-year college, touches, doesn't have to go full-time. If she's going to live to 100 years old, and I'm going to say
130, right?
130 if you're going with the Kimberly plan with my wife. Yep. They're going to be living a long time. And so let's allow them not to feel the pressure that I have to know right now everything that's going on. The other reason for that, the world of work is changing. We all know that. And so getting some time, slowing it down, connecting with the world of work, connecting with role models, getting out there and seeing the problems that need to be solved and helping build their confidence that they can play a particular role is what can make it work. But it really is, you have to know the child and you have to really figure it out, but don't get caught into if my child doesn't start that way, something's wrong. That's not how it works. You're going to be so much better off, and your child's going to be so much better off if we figure out what's best for them right now in the moment, and then really just being excited about their future and the things they can do.
Thanks for that, Scott, and thanks for the question, Lori. Hope that's helpful. Tamika, our next question's for you. This is from Richie. Richie wants to know, are community colleges and trade schools the same thing?
They're very similar. However, community colleges provide more of a general understanding of academic subjects. Like, you'll have your math, your science, liberal arts classes, and trade schools have fewer options with that. So because they provide more practical training for specific jobs, it's more of a hands-on experience with the trade school.
I just want to say, Tamika, though, each state may vary. So you have to really, what Tamika is saying, which is absolutely on target, is there is an Associate of Arts degree pathway that's often associated with community colleges. A lot of community colleges are also now having career and technical education pathways.
Yes,
as well,
they are.
Right?
They are.
And so you have to really talk with your local college to find out what they do offer. Most of them offer some of both, but they may weigh up a little bit more on one side or the other. So it's just a matter of getting in and talking with the counselor that's there, because they're amazing people, and they will help you. They will help guide you in that whole process. So,
thank you for that, Scott.
Thank you.
It's a complex area. This whole, the language gets in our way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Well, I can't believe the time is really just flying by here. Before we close out, I want to ask one last question to each of you. And Tamika, we'll start with you. What advice do you have for parents as they navigate, or they help students navigate, this whole process? We've talked about a lot today about different types of pathways, where folks can find more information, different resources. Like, what is your big piece of advice for parents as they help students navigate that right first step after high school?
I think I mentioned it previously, and that is just ensuring that we respect their goals, and knowing that this is their path, not our path, and be willing to jump in and help, meaning, you may have to do a little lead work. Of course, we're thinking they're about to be adults, but they still need our help. So you need to help them find the resources. If that's, like I said, stopping by the school, talking to their teachers, going online. If you're talking to someone in the grocery store, just use any possible resource that you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say, for my daughter, who is very inclined for the 4-year college and always has been, I have all the answers for her, and for some reason she just doesn't want to take my advice, right?
Right.
And so I'm with you on that. There was a moment though when I was able to slip a couple of things in, when at the point where she really was wanting to explore. And so finally, since I have that expertise, she asked for help. That was nice. It was a great moment. And we've had support from there. But what I want to say is it's a team sport. I think as the parents, we do have to have a better understanding. So we do need to find out those college orientations that are going on for parents. Find out what's going on. As you said, if you're not sure what the financial aid process is, let's get information on it. Let's reach out, find out from the local 2-year college, from the 4-year, whatever that might be. And really, but don't take it as a threat. Take it as an opportunity to really learn how to learn this whole process, just so you're feeling confident as an adult about how this all works, right? And I think that's an important piece. It's very complex. You know, even working in higher ed, it's complex trying to bring a child into higher ed and all these different avenues. But there are people who want to support and want to provide information. And I think that can at least give us some comfort in terms of how it all works.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Tamika, for this awesome conversation. To our audience members out there, we've talked a lot about different pathways after high school. If you go to Big Future and go to our Multiple Pathways Hub, you can find additional videos and articles to help you continue that exploration with your student. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We'd love to hear how today's session went. So before this event closes, you'll be automatically redirected to a feedback survey. Complete it. It'll take just a minute, and it'll really help us make the next event even better. And if you missed anything tonight, you can view the recording and register for more events at bigfuture.org/live. And finally, don't miss Big Future Scholarships Week starting on December 4th, where students can learn how they can qualify for $500 and $40,000 Big Future scholarships. You don't want to miss it. And as always, parents and caring adults are welcome as well. Thanks everyone so much, and have a great night.